Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another video. Insecure, hella open, Rom's review. Oh man. You know what? Two things stand out in this episode, right? And before I even go, there may be some spoilers for, the 2 or 3 people who don't watch this show. So if you want to watch this episode, just turn off the video now. We good, then, come back later, right? Anyway, 2 things stood out. One of the things that stood out for me, and the old heads will remember the reference I'm about to make because I made it in another video. Waiting to Excel 2017. He used to start out with some dude being all goofy. She trying to throw it at him. And then she end the episode with some random dude at her apartment complex just gonna give him some. Big head dude and whatnot. It's like, man. Yeah, she taking this whole thing far. I was like, yeah, go ahead, girl, get your thing, I mean, really far. I mean, yeah. Anyway, right. But the biggest thing that stood out for me and what I was actually waiting for was the whole thing with Lawrence going to Tasha's cookout or family, whatever it was, right? And, well, even before then, it kind of showed where they were at. And, let's be realistic, man, it was always going to be something like they were just showing Lawrence just wanting her for sex. Even though most brothers watching it were like, oh, nah, man, he need to be chilling out with her. Because it was interesting, so, even though he supposedly broke up with her, so he's sitting in bed with her and stuff. She trying to watch TV. Dude trying to get his freak on. And she kind of looking at him like, dude. You could just tell everything was about the whole relationship thing. But then the cookout. That cookout is major. When a woman brings a man to anything where her family is at, that's serious. Because if he was just sex to her, come on. He wouldn't have brought her over. And I mean, I do these reviews because they reflect stuff in real life. Fellas, if a woman bring you around her family, you're not in a slot, you're in a position. And just real quick, I've talked about that in one of my older videos. Men are either in a slot or a position. A slot, that's the side piece. He gets it like once a week, certain days. The other days he has to act like he doesn't know her. The position, that's the main man. That's the one she walks around with in public. She trying to put some roots down with that dude. So, dude, if you get invited to a woman's cookout, any family thing, you in a position. So she brought him to the cookout. He doing his thing. There's 3 things that struck me while he was there, right? Well, 4 things. 1, Tasha introduced him to her play uncle Jesse. Now, there was no mention of a father or anything, so this probably like the father figure. That's significant. He's like, okay, how we do in the black community, despite the propaganda otherwise, either a father or father figure going to check out a dude. So, play Uncle Jesse checked him out. And then, I guess one of her cousins or somebody, started messing with him, called them rules and stuff because he was like, hey, give me that cord and stuff. And he was like, Lawrence was like, nah, we ain't supposed to be playing music in the park, are we? He was like, oh, yeah, you going to follow the rules. But it's kind of a joking way because anybody who come from like one of those like down to earth families, kind of working class families type of family who does that, they know if they mess with you, they kind of like you, or at least trying to get to like you. Now, if they were just real formal with them or just give them a funny look, they were like, nah, we ain't feeling you, bruh. You want to be fucked with that family thing where they mess with you. Shit. You want them like to feel you. And then, there was another thing. He helped helped push like her grandmother, aunt, or something, whatever the woman was, to her in a wheelchair. So she was bringing that man into the family, right? But the whole time, you saw he was just uncomfortable. Now I know I said 4 things, but yeah, well, that was actually the 4th thing, right? That he was just uncomfortable. He looked like a fish out of water, right? And then, you know, he got this call, decided to go hang out with his coworkers, his mostly white coworkers, and he was obviously more comfortable there. Way more comfortable. He didn't have the same. He was looser. Didn't have that same reserved body language. And that was deep. That was deep because it spoke to a lot of things. Now, as I said, I'm doing these reviews because it illustrates issues in real world relationships. Now, one of the issues is, well, two issues were illustrated there. One was the class issue, right? One was the class issue, right? Check it out. There were obviously 2 different social classes. That was a big thing. In fact, that's been a theme with their relationship all along. And one of the things Tasha was always trying to do, and I'm surprised nobody really talked about it, or I haven't heard someone really point it out. Maybe somebody did, I just didn't hear it. But her whole thing with Lawrence, she was trying to move up. She was trying to move up in social class. If you really listen to what she was saying at first, she was like, yeah, I'm a bank teller, but I'm trying to be the bank president or bank manager. You know, she was taking classes. She was trying to move up from an 87 octane to at least an 89 octane, maybe even a 92 octane, you know. And it's funny nobody's really, I haven't heard it. Maybe, like I said, somebody might have said something. But it's funny we throw the word hypergamy around and, you know, somebody didn't think, oh, wait, this is hypergamy right there. Because despite when she met him, he was unemployed and stuff, she saw the potential. And she knew he could raise the profile. And that's something to peep, all fellas. Especially fellas who are like more professional and stuff. Sometimes we always talk about the ratchet and, you know, the women trying to stay low, but there's a lot of women who have that kind of a hood background or more working class background, you know, and they might not have went to a regular college or anything, but they trying to move up. You know, they trying to move up. They see that guy, he's kind of cool. Shoot, he's Mr. Goodbar to him. He's that status man to him. You know, so she trying to get up there. But see, once again with that class thing, okay, she sees him as maybe a way to move up, but see, he wasn't feeling it. See, that class thing really came out. It's like, all right, they know they can interact sexually, but then from the scene in the bedroom and the scene with the family, it was like, well, wait a minute, can we interact socially? Because well, let's be real, Lawrence is bougie, so that's the thing. I ain't gonna say it's bad or good, it just is. And that's a real issue in relationship. You know, that's a real issue, and it's also an issue. I know a lot of sisters, and I'm just gonna be raw with it. You know, a lot of times we talk about the class issue the other way. You know, you got a bunch of, you know, educated sisters, certain social class, not wanting to deal with maybe blue collar type brothers, but a lot of times it's the other way around as well, even if a brother don't really realize it. You know, it's like, yeah, you cool dealing with a certain level, but if you look at Lawrence, look at his backstory. You know, we don't know much about his family, but we know he went to some place like Georgetown. And even how if you really peep how he carries himself in the film, in the series, how he walks around, it's kind of like that more middle to upper middle class type of vibe. Now, what happened to make him like fall off some? I mean, hey, maybe that's a story for another season or something. And in fact, it would be interesting to get more of an idea about their background, because, you know, even though I ain't mentioned Molly, it was, you know, she had mentioned there was a part where she was talking with her mother over the phone, and it gave the indication her parents were together and married. Now we don't know the same thing about Issa's background, but getting back to Lawrence, so he's obviously uncomfortable at the cookout. First chance he got to leave, he did. And, he got there, got there with these white folks. Dude was chilling. Dude was chilling. He was comfortable. He was in his element. And that leads to another thing, because a lot of times, and I've said this before about at least black men and women of other races, it's not always about her race. It's about her social class. Because that same comfort he had with them, it could have been an all black gathering, but if they were roughly the same social class, like say a bunch of Mollies, he might have been just as comfortable, just as chilled. And then that's something. And what I like how they kind of bring that out. They bring out those subtleties. I think that's the genius of the show. And I know people feel some type of way and they get deep into it, but like I've been saying, it brings out some real issues. And see, it's interesting now, this last part, like, and definitely if you haven't seen it yet, but she actually calls him up. She was still, while he was at this thing, she's still contacting him. She's like real concerned about him. Like, she obviously cares about him, right? She ain't really trying to use him or anything. But then it was an interesting statement, and I know some women gonna jump all over. They're gonna be like, "So I told you." She called him a fuck nigga who thinks he's a good dude. I'm like, mark my words. Mark my words. Man, we're gonna get about 50 videos from some women on that one. But I can't really mess with. I'm not even gonna like hate on him for that or try to respond or try to say no. He was like, no, he was an idiot, and that's how he treated her. He had a woman down for him. There was some class differences, man. But damn, dude, shit, she brought him to meet her clowning Uncle Jesse. He was on the barbecue thing. Uncle Ron wish he was there. And then got the whole, had a cousin like clowning him a little bit. Like, shoot, that was her family. That shit was important to her, and that dude just rolled out, man. That was shit. But you know what? I'm gonna be honest. Real talk, you do got some dudes like that. Real talk. You got some dudes, they got a decent woman. They don't really they act trifling. So, like I said, if some sisters come out with some videos talking about that statement where she called them, I can't mess with them on it. I'm like, have at it, y'all. But that's interesting. Man. But on a deeper level, it just makes you look at some other factors in relationships, because even though they didn't really come out and talk about the class thing, that's a very important thing in relationships. Very important, particularly in black relationships. We act like we one big happy family and everybody can just flow, or a lot of women. I'll say this for a lot of sisters will say, well, we got all these beautiful black women out here, and this is something I've always maintained when the conversation would come up. I would say, hey, all right, but what are their social class? What subculture are they in? What are their spiritual beliefs? There's a lot of stuff that goes into whether two people can get together, even if they the same ethnic group or race. And I'm kind of glad they brought it out like that. Like I say, I know some people. I mean, this is people getting emotional over this stuff, but it's bringing out real issues. Anyway, that's it for today. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.